My name is Ignace. Taking for an example judiciary, which can be can be held by AI. What sort of specific mechanisms would you implement to ensure that the rulings given by the artificial intelligence are just, unbiased, transparent, and independent?
It's a horrible problem.
Go to the lawyer.
Luckily, it's not yours.
We'll not speak with that
Let
one.
me start
Go to the lawyer for this one.
with an anecdote I read about a few weeks ago in an actual case in court. The defense lawyer developed his entire defense using AI, ChatGPT. So it generated a fictional defense with case studies, case law, and all of that. The judge was struggling to find the references to read them,
Right.
because they didn't exist. So was the lawyer on the other side. So eventually he had to confess that they weren't actual cases, but made-up cases. That's where the ethics of the use of this technology comes in. And he confessed and had his case thrown out because he really didn't have any case. AI itself cannot deliver judgments.
Yeah.
It can give you a guide as to cases that have already been decided and precedent and all of that, and stimulate what the outcome can be. But every case is decided on its own merits. So there may be variations in a particular case which would not make it amenable to the conclusion that the AI may be generating, but it would also identify all of that. And that's where we need to be cautious in using AI in certain professions. It's been estimated that it will put lawyers out of business because the more mundane things like conveyancing, drafting of contracts and documents and all of that, there's a set format for it, so it's easy to do. But when you're having to apply specific evidence to specific facts to arrive at decisions based on precedent and the laws in various countries, that's where the human element has to come in to utilize these tools to arrive at the decisions that will ultimately come out. But it's easy to track trends because you know that cases may be on all fours with certain facts, and so it's easy to predict how it's going to end up. Where there may be distinguishing factors, it may not be that easy to identify those using AI. It may, I don't know, because like I say, I'm a lawyer, so I don't understand how that
And there are a couple things to bring in there, and I have a law degree of Harvard. I have never practiced, so you're more aware, but I am familiar with the case in the States where the person did make that up. But even if somebody didn't use it to make it up, the issue starts out with what are these large language models, and Matt can talk better about this, but think of it much more as a probability machine. It's not a reasoning machine, though some people claim there is reasoning. A lot of people, it's really just probabilities. So right away, you don't want to have your judgments done by probabilities. You want reason on that. Then go into the issue, what are these things trained on? Well, they're trained on us and our world and all the imperfections of the data that is coming into the web of all of us. And unfortunately, you end up reinforcements of biases, of discrimination, of all these things that actually that's what justice is supposed to correct instead of echoing and recreating. So you have to worry about that issue. The big point is this is so complex, we are so early in this stuff, to try and rely on any of these tools as a way to make incredibly important life-determining things is a terrible idea until we really get a sense. And the other thing is, as we look at some of these regulatory frameworks, what people really want to know is how was the decision, how did the AI come up with the answer? And what most people I've spoken to, and I don't actually do any of this stuff, but most have said, that's going to be a really difficult thing to explain. Yeah. And I think that's going to keep a lot of people nervous about how we should use or apply some of the AI for high-risk issues.
Right. Yeah. So on that, and I join what Google did as well by talking about responsibility. I think companies that are in this that need to be responsible. We created an Office of Ethical and Compliance that reports directly to the CEO, and there are elements that cannot be used with our AI. For example, facial recognition, we decided that our AI would not be able to do it. Or racial choices, or choices on diversity, on gender, or on religion. All of this is banned with the AI tools that we do. So that goes back to the responsibility of leaders who today are shaping the way AI is being used.
Yeah.
But sorry.
I was just going to sort of add on just to what you were saying, Glenn. Where are we with the generation of these large language models today? They're general, and they're coming up with things that seem persuasive. Sometimes they're factual, sometimes they're not. The model we use to power Bard, which is our sort of chatbot experiment, is called Pathways Language Model, and PaLM. And we've got a version of it called MedPaLM, which has passed medical exams. That doesn't mean to say it's a substitute for a doctor. It means it's got good at passing medical exams. So that's where we are, and I think we'll see, professionally, trained versions of models for expert areas that can be helpful. I'd say the last person you'd want to substitute in the human society would be a judge, right? Actually, these technologies should allow judges and juries to be better informed over time. But we're at the early stages. I think you'll see specialized models in different industry areas that help industry professionals, just like my breast cancer screening example. They help the people who are there to do their jobs better, more productively, with better outcomes. That's the hope.